All right, so we're going to go ahead and jump into chapter 3, which talks about the how we really organize our housekeeping department. Okay. So we're going to talk about the cleaning responsibilities, some of the tools they use, how the executive housekeeper, what their role is, and then also just the basic management functions that you'll see in almost every management level course. All right, so what I would like is up here on this table are a variety of different areas, a variety of areas in the hotel, okay? So I would like one at a time, come up here, pick up one of the rooms or one of the areas, and then either put it under housekeeping responsibilities or not housekeeping responsibilities, okay? Let me turn that off for a second, okay? So who wants to go first? Awesome, Matthew. So what did you get? Meeting rooms. So is that part of housekeeping or not? Not, okay. All right. What'd you get?
Dining.
The dining rooms. What do you think?
No.
Okay, cool. We're gonna check our work in just a second. Public areas. Yes. All right, Maria. Exercise rooms. All right, good. And what'd you get? The pool. All right, housekeeping responsibilities. All right. You're back up. Okay, cool. Game room under housekeeping responsibilities. Back of house areas, okay, under not housekeeping responsibilities, cool.
Convention, exhibit halls.
Convention exhibit halls, okay. Okay, good. Storage areas under housekeeping responsibilities. Laundry, okay, under housekeeping responsibilities. All right, one more round. All right, so linen and sewing rooms, good. Guest rooms, awesome. Hotel operated shops. All right, management offices.
Well, I'm thinking like to clean the management.
Okay. All right. The corridors. Okay, awesome. And last is the banquet rooms. I'm going to put it on this side for banquet rooms. All right, so let's test and see how we did. All right. So, I turn it back on. Let me turn this off and turn it back. Let's see here. So guest rooms I saw was the first one. Okay, good. Oops. Maybe it does not like the magnets on the wall. Okay, so guest rooms, good. Corridors, check. Public areas, check. Pools and patios, look at that. You put it either in the right place. So management offices, yes. Housekeeping does clean the management offices. Storage areas, yes. Linen and sewing room, laundry. Oops. And back of the house areas. So back of the house areas was on the incorrect side. Now, all the remaining ones really, this is according to the textbook, okay? But does that mean that housekeeping definitely would not clean those areas? Yeah, so sorry, other responsibilities. I'm so sorry. Yes, you're right. Sorry. So other responsibilities. So trick question, all of them, yes. They all fall under the housekeeping department. Now, to some degree, it might be a little bit different. For example, dining rooms, okay? Dining rooms, when I worked at the Sheraton Gunther Hotel, it was our responsibility as the servers and the bussers to sweep the dining room, to mop the floors, right? But housekeeping would come in every so often and they would dust the plants. They would dust all the like the wood and things like that. And so it's not necessarily always their entire job. Now, one area in the food and beverage side that housekeeping definitely would not go is the kitchen. Housekeeping does not take care of any kind of kitchen cleaning, but front of the house stuff, quite yes. If the hotel has operated shops, meaning they're not contracting that, they're not like renting out that space. If they're renting out that space, and that's that person's responsibility. But if it's hotel operated, exercise rooms, absolutely. Okay, housekeeping will go in periodically, clean the mirrors, replenish the towels. If you are a luxury or a full service hotel, I know at one point we went to the St. Anthony Hotel, it's the Luxury Collection by Marriott. And I don't know if this is still a standard operation, an SOP, but the fitness center, the exercise room, they would have iced chilled towels with little cucumber slices on them in their gym. And so housekeeping had to go pretty much every hour to replenish those to make sure that that was an amenity that was available to their guests, okay? Banquet rooms versus convention exhibit halls, again, typically housekeeping might go in to vacuum those, but they're not necessarily going to move furniture. That's usually part of the convention team. Now, there also may be, maybe not part of the housekeeping department, but maybe within the convention department, if it's large enough, they may have their own housekeeping team that only does that, okay? So as you can see, there's pretty much not an area in the hotel that housekeeping doesn't touch. Housekeeping has a huge, huge role, okay? So something else that we're going to look at are our area inventory lists, okay? So an area inventory list, what does the word inventory mean? Okay, the amount of things that you have, good. So when we think about that, put it together, area inventory What do you think that list contains? Okay, so everything to run a hotel. Good. Let me get these off and then we'll move on to the next slide. So an area inventory list essentially is helping the housekeeping department determine how we are going to develop those SOPs, how we're going to develop those standard operating procedures, okay? So we think about an area inventory list. So in your notes, I'd like you to take this picture and create an area inventory list, a list of everything that is in that picture that housekeeping might have a reason to touch, clean, or take care of. So think about everything that you see in this picture. And we're going to create an area inventory list. It looks like it would be. Yeah, it looks like it because it kind of, the image kind of warps a little bit. Okay. Let's start in the back. And what's one thing on your list? The table. Okay, good. Awesome. The statues that we have here. Okay. The carpet. The lamps. Good. Warren. The railing, absolutely. Especially post-pandemic, right? Those touch points, those high touch points are probably going to be cleaned more frequently than they were prior to 2020. Okay. What else? Anything else? The frames of the art. Absolutely. Good. Yeah, this room divider thing right here. Can you imagine having to dust that? The lights. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, right here we have chairs, the furniture. Warren mentioned the mirror in the background. Yes, so not just the carpet, but also I'm assuming this is marble flooring. Okay. So we look at this area inventory list. We even have, I don't know if this is like a digital screen or if it's just an art piece or what, but it's illuminated in some way. Okay. And so we take this area inventory list and we use that to help us determine what is our standard operating procedures, our SOP. Because each of those things require a specific type of cleaning. We're going to talk in a later chapter about the different cleaning agents that we use, okay? But we can't use the same wood cleaner on the wood furniture as we do on the marble floor. We can't use this, probably can, maybe we can't even use the same wood cleaner on the statues, the art that is there. And then do we clean the table every single day? Do we clean it every hour? Do we clean the statues every hour? Do we clean the statues every day? Do we clean them once a month? Do we clean them twice a month? You know, what is the frequency? So that area inventory list, we create that, and then we're going to look at different things in just a moment and think about frequency that we clean things, and then that helps us organize our housekeeping department. Okay, let's do another one. So a little bit different. Actually, let me use yellow. Okay, let's go from the beginning. What's that? Yeah, the rocks right here in this planter. Okay, good. What else? The furniture. Oh, you said watering the plants. Okay, I'm gonna do that in blue just because we might have to, if they're real plants, yep, we have to water them. Okay, what else? Yes, the mirror. You can see the reflection of the plants in the mirror. The glass door right here. Yep, the hand touch the door handle. Maybe we don't clean the door handle as often as we clean the whole door, but we clean the handle more frequently. We have carpet and flooring as well. We have stone, looks like some kind of stone versus glass. So again, uses different types of cleaners to make sure that is happening. Okay. So you can see this is a lot more minimal than the previous picture. Two different hotel lobbies, right? But this one, glass, gets fingerprints really easily. So that may take a little bit more time to more frequently to clean that. And then watering plants may or may not be part of housekeeping's responsibilities. If you have a lot of live plants, a lot of full service big hotels are actually going to contract with a local florist or a local person to create all of their floral arrangements. And then that person's responsibility, part of that contract, to keep up the maintenance on those. Really kind of just depends. All right, last one. Oh my goodness, the cushions. Yes. Look at how many cushions are on each cabana. All right, what else would be housekeeping's responsibility? What's that? That would be probably engineering. Anything that makes engineering, anything that requires maintenance of the pool itself, cleaning, chemicals, anything like that is going to be engineering department. We'll take care of that. Yes, look at the drapes on the cabanas. Okay, what else? Yeah, absolutely. If there's any trash that's going to be out here, housekeepers have to come in and pick that up. Good. The cushion that's on the floor. Yep. Awesome. Yep. Trash. Possibly just kind of wiping down the handrails, making sure that they're sanitized. Any towels that are left out. There also may be, we only see just the cabanas in this picture, but there may also be that there is, you know, like the little towels rolled up at each spot. That may be part of the standard operating procedures. Sorry, I'm not an artist. Let me. There might be towels right there on each one. That's part of our standard operating procedures that housekeeping needs to put out. Okay, so lots of different things for housekeeping to consider. And then last one, sorry, this is the last one. The guest room. Holy cow. There's a lot in this guest room. Okay. Not only do we have furniture itself, it's wood. Yes. I just recently went to a hotel a couple weekends ago for a friend's birthday. And there's a lot of wood in the room, and it was really dusty because it's kind of out in the country, and I'm just like, ooh. I mean, I was like, it's okay. I mean, it's fine. Wouldn't be my choice if it was my hotel, but that's okay. But a lot of wood that requires dusting. Okay. What else? The flooring. This looks like it might be a tile or maybe like a polished concrete.
Letting the front desk know if they ate some of the.
Yeah, so we look right here, we've got this little snacks right here. So housekeeping. Typically, that's going to be more on the food and beverage side. So there might be like an in-room, not an in-room dining, because that's room service, but like a mini bar attendant that will actually go through. Yeah, so the snacks are part of the mini bar.
Is that like a fun job? I thought about doing that. I just feel like I would, if we don't contact anyone.
Yeah, I mean, just go in and just you just go in and restock. I mean, I don't know if I can't necessarily say it would be fun, but it would be continuous, right? Yeah, so mini bar attendant would basically be restocking the mini bars and the snacks. A lot of hotels have pulled mini bars because it's too much of a hassle. They'll think the guest thought, okay, well, a package of M&Ms is missing, so they just charge it to the guest, and the guest gets their receipt, and they're like, I didn't eat M&Ms. You can't prove that I did, and it becomes a huge issue, right? But now, that has the sensors. That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah. So the technology is improving to where if you pull something out of that mini fridge, it's automatically going to charge you for that.
This is the thing. I went Vegas. I went through that because I don't touch anything like the water is $25. Like, don't touch it. Well, then I went with my mom to check in with her room, and the guy didn't tell her. And he didn't say, like, don't open the fridge, because as soon as you open the fridge, they charge you just to open it. Because she brought her own. It was weird. And so she, like, adjusted a few things so she could put her wine in. And they wrapped up in just like $200 just from.
Just by moving things around.
And it was like, don't fight with another. You don't fight with her. And so it was, and you're right. It's absolutely like.
Yeah. Yep. Telephones. You want to notice right here too, something that is more common lately in hotels is having more of like a decorative piece of fabric instead of like a big decorative comforter or bedspread or things like that. And so the white sheets, we'll talk about the sheets process, the bed making process in a later chapter. But you see this, so we have lights. Okay, we have the sconces on the wall. You've got the glass that goes between the bedroom and the bathroom, which I would hope had some kind of curtain to it, or that kind of like automated glass that turns cloudy whenever someone's in there. What's that? Yes, absolutely. And actually, that's a good thing. So again, too, when I leave a guest room, I open all my drawers, not because of housekeeping, but because I am notorious for leaving stuff. So if I have actually utilized the drawers, if I'm staying somewhere for more than 2 or 3 days, and I'll unpack my suitcase. And so I will actually open even like the big dresser drawers. I'll open them like the bottom one all the way, the middle one halfway, and then the top one just a little bit, just to kind of show that I know myself. I think that's one reason why I take the bed apart too, because I'm so used to like leaving chargers and things like that, like mixed in with the sheets. And so that's another reason why I kind of I do that. Yeah.
I remember growing up, you go to the hotel room, they still had the beds that were like had the under the bed. Now I haven't been to a hotel that has. Is that
Yeah.
leaving?
Exactly. Most like this platform bed, there is a little bit of a gap, so some stuff could get under there, but a lot of places have that where the box spring is all the way on the floor. So that way, yeah, so that way you can't put stuff under this. Now, going back to what we talked about with the true hotel, space is limited. And so I think if I remember correctly, I think they do have where you can put your suitcases under the bed because there's not really any other place to put them. And so the True brand does have beds that are up off the ground. All right. So we think about frequency schedules and how frequently do we do and clean these particular areas. So let's take a look really quickly. All right. So do you think guest rooms are cleaned daily, weekly? Do I have a marker on here? Where's my marker on here? Oh, I know where it is. Annotate. Draw. There we go. Okay, so daily. Is there anything that we're going to do weekly in a guest room, do you think? Like, think about a guest room, cleaning a guest room. So anything you think you might do just like maybe on a once a week basis?
I would say on a Friday, that's when everyone's coming in, so make sure not dust on the stuff that we.
Well, okay, so daily, the dusting will be like dusting the furniture would be one, but we may dust like the baseboards. So the baseboards might be like once a week, okay? Or monthly. So there are things, maybe monthly, we're gonna change the air filters. Okay, so again, housekeeping is the one who's going in there every single day. And so to make that special project, okay, let's maybe once a month, we're gonna do this, okay? Annually, I didn't do an annual one, but annually, okay, we might flip the mattresses, okay, or maybe 4 times a year, whatever the manufacturer, okay? So there are things that we might do annually in that as well. And that will be listed out as special projects, okay? Maybe we don't vacuum the drapes every single day, right? Because we have 25 to 30 minutes to get in and out of that room. We don't have time to vacuum the drapes in every single guest room. So we may do it on a monthly basis, okay? Or maybe a weekly. So the first week of the month, baseboards are our project. The second week of the month is the ceiling fans. There's some hotel rooms that have ceiling fans. So making sure those get dusted. I was in a hotel one time and I turned the ceiling fan off. And I don't know the last time it had been dusted. It had like that big kind of clump all the way along each blade, right? And so I just mentioned to the front desk, and it happened to be a hotel that I knew the operators. And so I just in passing mentioned they were so embarrassed. I was like, it happens. I'm glad I'm the one telling you and not somebody else that is going to want their room for free because they have such severe allergies and now they're having an allergy attack and blah 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 whatever. I was like, let's get it fixed before it reaches that point. So corridors, should they be done daily, weekly, or monthly? They should be done daily. Okay. Typically, the houseman is going to do that. So the housekeeper, the room attendant, is not going to typically clean the corridors. Okay, the houseman is going to do that. And I say houseman, house person. It's traditionally men that are that house position. Okay, public areas, should they be cleaned daily, weekly, or monthly? Definitely daily. Okay, monthly, we might have special projects again. Now, it may be because we talked in that one lobby that had like the recessed lighting at the top. It may be that we're going to hire a cleaning service to come in overnight to clean that type of stuff. We're not going to put our associates in that position. I know the JW Marriott does that because their lobby is massive. Their public space is massive. And so to be able to get out there and see it and clean it, they actually hire a management company who will come in, a cleaning service, to do that. Okay. And one actually that I forgot to put on here is hourly. So some of these we actually want to clean hourly, like the pool and patio areas. Okay. Especially if it's busy. Absolutely. Okay. They can also be cleaned daily, end of the day. Make sure I stayed in 2 different hotels in the last couple weeks. And I was surprised. Now, granted, I know the pool closes at 10 o'clock. It's late, it's at night. But I was surprised that they waited until the morning to come and pick up all the dirty towels. And I was thinking, okay, that's odd. What? It was not the Omni, no. I can't afford to stay at the Omni. What? No, it was not the Omni, but there was one in Austin, and then this little boutique hotel that I stayed at. And I thought it was odd because I was thinking, well, I'm thinking from a manager's perspective, okay, let's collect those towels, and then my overnight person at the front desk, they're done by 2 o'clock in the morning, right? The front desk, all the processes are done, and so they're done by 2 o'clock in the morning. Why not have them wash those towels and fold them and get them ready for the next day, so that at the morning it's ready to go? They're not then cleaning it. So I thought it was really interesting. But again, it's not my hotel. Maybe they had a call out. That's a good point. Absolutely. Okay. So management offices, how frequently should those be cleaned? Daily. Yeah. We may do like a heavy deep clean maybe once a month, but daily. Okay. Storage areas, daily. I think weekly and monthly, especially when we're looking at doing inventory. Okay. Monthly when it comes to doing inventory, so we can make sure we're purchasing the amount of product that we need to replace. Okay. Linen and sewing rooms. I'm just going to cross because we don't really have a lot of linen and sewing rooms anymore. Laundry room should be cleaned daily for sure. Okay. And then back of the house areas, daily. So there's a lot of daily tasks. Then we might also have specific tasks that we're going to do on a weekly and or monthly basis. Okay. I don't know if you're familiar with back of the house corridors of hotels. They tend to be storage areas. Okay. And so maybe on a monthly basis, we're going to pull everything away from the wall, clean it. Kind of reminds me of when I was a kid. I'm the 6th of 7 kids. And so about once a month, my mom would do like a big, deep vacuum of the house. And one of us kids was responsible for pulling the stuff out of the wall, from away from the wall. My mom would vacuum, and then one of the other kids had to put everything back. So my mom was just like walking, and she had 2 kids just like moving around her. It makes me kind of think of that. I'm like, wow, my mom actually knew what she was doing, putting us to work. So you can see when we talk about in the next couple slides about managing the housekeeping department and planning it all out, it takes a lot. And it also allows you, as if you're someone who comes into a housekeeping department that maybe is not functioning efficiently, this is a good place to start. And if you start looking at a lot of your guest surveys, and they say, well, I went to the guest room and the guest room was dusty. Okay, well, maybe my frequency chart is a heavy dust every month, but maybe I need to change that to weekly now. And so this kind of helps you reevaluate that process. Any questions on frequency charts? The executive housekeeper. Yep. Now, ideally, you would work with your team to establish that, right? That way they're part of the solution. Most people, you'll learn this in management classes, most people don't necessarily like to be directed and told what to do. They like to kind of be part of the process as well, right? And not necessarily that whether they like to or not, but when they are part of the process, it gives a little bit more buy-in from them. And it's like, hey, okay, hey, we've noticed these things. What are some things that we can maybe do? Now, as a leader, there are certain times where you have to just direct and tell. But there are also opportunities, and understand what those opportunities are for you to be able to include your team and your associates on it. It brings it in as makes it more part of the process. All right. So let's talk about different types of inventory items. We have recycled and non-recycled, okay? So recycled are things that we're going to use over and over and over again, right? We're obviously going to wash our linens. We don't take them off the bed and throw them away. We're going to reuse them. The equipment items, so things like Anne mentioned vacuums earlier, our housekeeping carts, those equipment type items that were recycled. And then guest supplies like pens, pads of paper, those types of things that are going to be used in that room over and over and over again. Okay. Non-recycled, obviously, our cleaning supplies. Once we use it, it's done. Okay. Guest room supplies and the amenities. So any kind of guest room supplies that are not reused. So it may be that once that pad of paper gets too low, there may be, if it's a luxury hotel, it may be that that pad of paper gets changed out every single time. But I know when I was at the La Quinta, if there was just one page used, I just rip that page off and keep the rest of the pad there. If there was a significant amount, if there was one or two pieces left of paper, then of course I would replace it. But guest amenities, and then also guest supplies include things like toothbrushes, toothpaste, razors, those types of things that we give the guests if they forget their toiletries, sewing kits, those types of stuff. Okay. So non-recycled means that we're not going to reuse it over and over again. Recycled items, one unique recycled item I thought was really interesting. I learned about at the Westin downtown San Antonio. So Westin is kind of a healthy living lifestyle hotel brand within, at the time it was Starwood, now it's Marriott. And so because of that, years ago, I'm gonna start saying years ago instead of pre-pandemic. I hate saying pre-pandemic. Years ago, the San Antonio one, they had a running coach. So there was actually somebody on staff that their job was to develop running routes and like 1 mile routes, 3 mile routes, 5 mile routes. And in the morning, if a guest wanted to go for a run, then that person would show up and run with that guest. That was their job. But when it comes to recycled inventory items, Westin had a partnership with New Balance. And so they would keep an inventory. What's that? Yeah, absolutely. And so they would actually keep a supply of running shoes, New Balance running shoes, New Balance branded shorts, tank tops, shirts, and things like that, that a guest could buy, like rent for $5. And then they would leave it in the little bag, in the laundry bag in their guest room. And then the hotel would launder it and put it back into their inventory. So if you think about it, for somebody who travels for work regularly for business, they maybe don't have enough room in their suitcase to put their running shoes and their running clothes. So if they can go to a Westin and they can get that for $5 a day versus having to pack that, then it was a kind of a benefit. And so that was an interesting kind of recycled guest item that Westin would do. All right. So looking at, these are the different positions within the hotel, the housekeeping department. Okay. So room attendant. Room attendant is the preferred terminology for maid. Okay, maid is an antiquated term. So room attendant and housekeeper is still acceptable and appropriate, but room attendant is the new terminology. And so basically what their main job to do is to clean the guest room and get it ready. Either do a stayover, clear the trash and remake the bed and replace amenities, or clean it completely and get it ready for the next guest. And they're going to report directly to the inspector. Okay, so once the room attendant cleans the guest room, then the inspector will come in and do their little checkpoints to make sure everything is done. And then they'll release that back to the front desk to then be rented again to the hotel for the guests.
Is it for 100 rooms? You got one or two. Was it?
You know, that's the ratio of inspectors. I don't know if there's an actual formula for that, but you think about it, you think about productivity, okay? Let's look at productivity for a second. You're making me go off script, Victor, so I may screw this up. Okay, so let me see if I can remember this. We have an 8-hour shift, right? And let's say we are expecting our housekeepers to clean 16 rooms per day. Okay. So if we do our 16 rooms per 8 hours, our productivity is 0.5, or essentially half an hour. Okay. Now, if an inspector, let's say an inspector is overseeing think about how long it might take them to just inspect that room, right? And so let's say it takes them 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes per room, okay? 5 minutes is actually a pretty long time when you're just kind of going in and checking to make sure things get done, okay? So if we can do 5 minutes per room and there's 60 minutes, that's 12 rooms per hour, right? So in an 8-hour shift, 8 times 12, 96 rooms. So in a 100-room hotel, you could, in theory, have that, you know, but you may not want it necessarily to be 96 rooms. The inspector, in reality, is not going to check every single room. They're going to check the majority of the rooms, but in reality, they're probably not going to check every single room that the housekeeper cleans. And this is something interesting. In one of the tours that I did during the pandemic, we weren't able to go and do field trips. So I went to different hotels and did kind of like a live Zoom session, and we walked around and we toured the hotel. And the executive housekeeper, Rose at the La Quinta, she was actually there when I was a student and did my internship. And we were in a room and she noticed that the plastic bag for the ice bucket was not folded correctly, okay? And she said, oh, this must be one of Cindy's rooms, because she knows that Cindy doesn't fold the ice bag correctly, right? But then I was always taught, okay, well, get Cindy back in there. So Cindy will do it and she'll stop making that mistake, right? And Rose was like, well, if all Cindy does wrong is the ice bag, then it takes me 3 seconds to just change it while I'm checking and just do it, versus pulling Cindy from her room that she's doing right now, takes her away from that productivity. And I thought, okay, that's interesting. That's an interesting kind of like real world application. Now, if Cindy's missing 5 to 10 points on that checklist, then yes, let's get Cindy back in here. Let's do some retraining. But if it's just an ice bag, like, okay, Well, okay, you might let her know, and be like, hey, I did this for you today while I was inspecting your room. Okay, so maybe that might be something that you can do, and let them know and communicate, and see if we can get that problem fixed versus pulling them out of the room just to come fold, right? Because think about it from that perspective. If you were Cindy and if you were that room attendant and they pulled you out and like, I need you to refold this ice bag. Like, what kind of reaction would you give them? Like, are you kidding me? Like, really, you pull me out to do this, right? And so I like your approach of letting them know that it happened and that you did it. So yeah, so that's how we kind of look at the productivity, right? So I expect them to do 16 rooms per day. Okay. If it's a stayover, then I'm probably going to expect you to do, instead of 2 rooms an hour, I'm probably going to expect you to do anywhere from 4 to 5 rooms per hour. So that's 15 to 20 minutes per room. New share. Okay, so for our room attendants, entering the room, preparing the room for cleaning. This is a horrible slide. I need to make changes to that. Preparing the room for cleaning. Essentially, what that means is stripping the beds, gathering the trash, putting the iron back away, picking up all the towels, right? So you're preparing the room to where as soon as you get everything done out of there, then you can start actually cleaning. So that, again, that's one reason why me as a guest, I like to do all that ready for them. So as soon as they get in there, they're ready to pick up the towels, the linens, the trash, and they can start cleaning. Making the bed, not necessarily in this order, but these are the things that they're going to do. Making the bed, dusting the room. As we are dusting, we always work from the top down. I don't want to dust the countertop and then dust the TV, because I'm going to push all that dust on the TV back down onto what I just already dusted, right? So training, working from the top to bottom, okay? Cleaning the bathroom, closets, vacuuming the carpet, checking and securing the room, okay? What do you think is a good habit in order to check the room appropriately? When you're getting ready to leave your room, just to make sure everything is done, what should you do? So we turn off all the lights. Okay, that's possibly good. What I like to do is I like to stand in the center of the room. I pick a point and I do a complete 360 to make sure that I've actually done everything, right? I don't want to be like, I'm like, okay, bed check, this check. No. I'm going to start here and I'm going to look to make sure. And it's weird because there's even things like there should be 3 types of each hanger in the closet, right? The pant hangers with the clips and then the hangers without the clips. And so they should all be positioned in this way. And then there should be a laundry bag clips to one of those hangers. There's little minute details that make sure that the room looks great. So when the inspector comes in, they're going to have their checklist and be like, yep, that's done, that's good. And they can move on to their way. All right, for the house person, if the room attendant cleans the rooms, the house person's in charge of all the public spaces. So the corridors, the pools, the workout facility, the lobby, the exterior of the hotel. So as a house person at the La Quinta, every morning I would go out with my little dustpan and my broom and I'm picking up trash in the parking lot. Okay, it's not glamorous, but the parking lot and the entrance is the first impression that the guest is going to get. And so if we don't have that clean and organized, then automatically the hotel guest is going to walk in and be like, oh, it's not starting off to a good start. Okay. They're going to report directly to that head house person. A lot of things that they're going to do. A lot of this happens to do with basically all of the public areas. The one that I want to bring your attention to right here is the carts. So oftentimes overnight, the house person will restock all the housekeeper's carts. So that way the overnight house person does that to make sure that then in the morning they're ready to go. Okay. If there is no overnight person, one of your standard operating procedures could be that before the housekeepers leave, they restock their own carts to make sure they're ready to go for the next day. Excuse me. The other thing too is that housemen can really help with removing trash and all the linen. So they can really help with that process. Sometimes the house person will actually go in and strip all the beds for the housekeepers, especially if it's a heavy turnover day. It was really interesting. I was at this hotel in Galveston for a conference a little while ago, and they actually had linen carts. So just like the big carts that the dirty linen would go in, right? But they had the clean linen carts, and they knew based on the checkouts for the day of how many sets of king sheets and double sheets to put in there. And so there was actually a little piece of paper that said 15 kings, 22 doubles. And so they actually knew exactly how much linen maybe they didn't have linen rooms on each floor. A lot of hotels will have that, so they can just go in and get the linen. But when we talk about inventory in a later chapter, you'll understand why we want to control that inventory, because otherwise it can walk away. All right. Lastly is the management process. This process, these 7 steps really are pretty common in any management position. Executive housekeeper in this case has to plan by doing those area inventory lists. Okay, what do I need to do? What do I have to do to clean these areas? Okay, organizing is figuring out what materials are going to be needed. Coordinating is how do those materials come together. Staffing obviously is the human resource, making sure we have the people there. Directing them, that's part of training process, directing them how, teaching them how to do it, okay? Controlling and then evaluating. So controlling the situation, controlling budgets, controlling inventory. Lastly, evaluating, how did we do? Were we on budget? Were we not on budget? Did we lose a lot of staff? Why did we lose a lot of staff? Were we able to maintain our staff? Why were we able to maintain our staff? So evaluating, and then it all goes back to planning. Once you evaluate what worked, what didn't work, then we develop a new plan and we move forward from there. So this is kind of like the management process that goes in a cycle. Any questions about this? Have any of you all seen this before in another class? If you've taken management leadership, hopefully you have. If you're taking it with me, then you definitely have. Which I just added because management and leadership did so well this semester. In the past, if I offered it in the summer, then it affected the fall enrollment. But because pretty much all of them filled in the fall, I went ahead and added my summer one back in. So management 2305, Warren took that class. It's 5 weeks. It's quizzes, like watch videos, take quizzes, and you're pretty much done. So that one is open for summer. It's HAMG 2305. Are y'all taking it this semester? Mr. McNair teaches it in the fall. So yeah, that's the last slide for chapter 3. Any questions, comments, concerns about chapter 3? All right, so I'm going to go one by one and tell me what were the top 2 things that were most surprising or things that you learned today in class or by reading the chapters in advance? Warren. Okay. Yeah, so don't drink it. Okay, what's something else? 2 things. The different types of hotels. Okay, cool. The different areas of the hotels. Good. Okay, yeah. Inventory that housekeeping has to manage and has to take care of. All the responsibilities that fall under housekeeping. Okay, good. And housekeeping has a lot of things to do, especially management offices. Yeah, somebody has to go in and take care of those. Good. The room inspector, yeah. 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 And typically a room inspector would be like a promotion from room attendant, right? So you start out as a room attendant as an entry level position. And then once you perfect that, then you move up to an inspector. And then from an inspector, maybe like an assistant housekeeping director. Yep. Anything else?
So who has the rights to it? If they don't check out on time, check out on time.
Was it, oh, they don't have, if the guest doesn't check out on time. So if the guest does not check out on time, a couple things are going to happen. Housekeeping is going to go by the room. At least most hotels have an SOP of 3 times. So a housekeeper is going to go by anywhere from 2 to 3 times. And by checkout, they're definitely going to be there. And if the guest is not out, a couple things could happen. If they are a loyalty member, sometimes they're guaranteed a late checkout. And maybe they just didn't communicate that with housekeeping, which when we think about communicating with the different departments, it's important to communicate those types of things because then I was going to keep using Cindy. I don't know why, but Cindy may skip that room knowing that that guest is not going to check out until 1 p.m. But if Cindy doesn't know that and she goes by, then the guest is going to get annoyed and upset because they're coming to check in and then try to clean the room when they were guaranteed a 1 p.m. checkout. So communication is key in that regard. A lot of hotels actually have a late checkout fee. So if they didn't already coordinate it with the front desk, then if they're still in there past a certain time, then they get charged. Most hotels, on average, is between $25 to $50 late checkout fee. And the reason why that is because now Cindy, if that's her last room to clean, but she's got to go home, either now the hotel has to pay her overtime to stay and clean that room, or that room doesn't get cleaned until either overnight or even the next day as a carryover. And then that's not always a good situation. Because what if we need that room? What if we need that room overnight and we have one guest walks in and we're that close to having 100% sellout, but we can't because that guest checked out late, right? And so you think about it too, checkouts are usually between 11 and noon at the latest, and check-in starts between 3 to 4. So housekeeping typically has 3 to 4 hours. Now they maybe aren't going to do a complete house turnover. They're not going to clean every single room in those 3 to 4 hours. But that's like, I think about it from a perspective of, I did a hotel summer camp for high school kids over the summer. And the last morning, we were going to do some stuff, and then they were going to have a chance to go back to their rooms and pack up and clean, and then come back down for another activity. And so the night before at dinner, I said, why don't you guys all bring your stuff to breakfast? Because then that way at 9 o'clock, when we're in our meeting, housekeeping can already go in and start cleaning those rooms. Right. So I try to kind of use it as a teachable moment that if I know if I know my flight is not until 2 o'clock in the afternoon and I'm gonna go do some sightseeing, why not just check out, have the hotel hold my bag, and then housekeeping can get access to my room. And so from one industry professional to another, understanding how it works, that could potentially help with the efficiency in other regards. So just some little things that kind of here and there that I kind of picked up on over the years, again, I started out as a culinary arts major, and I didn't really actually get into hotels until I finished the hotel management degree. But now that I have, I love hotels way more than culinary. Most of the time because we're in air conditioning, and yes, we have to deal with upset guests and disgruntled guests and things like that. But I kind of find it a little bit like a challenge. Like, what can I do to make this person happy now? Some people you can't make happy; they're just always going to be upset. But what maybe I can do? What can I do to make this person's this person's day just a little bit better? So that's one reason why I like hotels so much.